Gift, then, what did you think of the trailer?
Okay, one, that was a crazy trailer. There is a lot happening in that trailer. My God.
It's the boys, man. It's the boys.
Yo, I was just like, okay, all right. But I think the first thing that really stood out the most was the fact of what's his name getting powers. Now
Well, yeah,
using
Billy taking Compound V.
Compound V, exactly.
Which is very true to the comic. In the comic book, right from the get-go, he's on Compound V. All of them are on Compound V.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that people who've watched the comics said that's one of the biggest diversions, is that until now, he hasn't touched the Compound V. And but now he has.
I'm glad that they held it because it wouldn't have made have everybody be on Compound V and make it a universal effort, and then just to see whose powers matriculate from there would take away from his absolute hatred of powered people versus now the hypocrisy of now using Compound V as a weapon.
I agree. I agree. I think that was a great decision not to bring in Compound V because it makes it. I've always loved seeing Billy outsmart the Supes.
Right. Exactly.
He has no chance, even against the weakest Supe. By his own strength, he can't take them on. But he always finds a way, just from his brutal nature and his wits. He can always outsmart them. So I'm curious now so in the comics, he takes the Compound V and they're all strong and he stays strong. The Compound V's blue in the show and we see him drinking green. And I wonder if it's a temporary Compound V.
So in that trailer, we see him throwing up on what's his name's face, on Huey's face, and so I think it's that idea of the temporary power. You know, you get it for a moment, maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do something, and then you matriculate some power based off of your emotions or something like that, and then it's goes to the next. So I do think that they have that, but I think the other half of it that makes it interesting is the new characters that they're bringing in. Like, I love the fact that Jensen Ackles is entering in as Captain America parody because now it's time to bring in the Marvel parodies as well.
Yeah.
But I'm interested. I'm wondering, and I kind of worry that we're going to see the same thing that we saw with the Nazi chick last season.
Stormfront, right?
Yeah, to be able to kind of repeat that trope again, like guy pulled from the past, and is this war hero then, but in reality is super racist, super dickish, false portrayal, and is just a facade, which is great. I get it in terms of the self-awareness of it. So, but I would hate to kind of repeat it again because it's like I want something new to come out of this. Like you have the template, but can we not make him good, but can we make him a different version of Flaw?
Well, he can't be There's nothing good about Stormfront. She was this generation's what's his Lannister, the kid from Game of Thrones. You just love to hate her. But she and she's still alive. Like, she's still down there with no limbs on and stuff. She's still steaming down there underground somewhere. It's going to be, I believe. He should. This new character, this new Captain America character, is supposed to be the original, because he's piss take of Captain America. He's supposed to be the first suit, one of the first Supes,
right?
In America, anyway. So he's going to be, his popularity is going to threaten Homelander, which is very Stormfront, because when Stormfront came on, she was direct threat to Homelander. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be a direct threat to Homelander as well.
Right.
I don't know where they're going to go with him.
Can I ask how come did they explain why they deviated from the comics with regards to the main guy?
I haven't heard why. They just
I've been watching the behind the scenes, but I would take it for like they do with anything, the two parts. One, so that all the people who read the comics can't just be like, "Oh, I know exactly what the story is." Because if that's the case, like, I'm very interested to see what they'll do with Black Noir, Black.
Black Noir,
Black Noir, because that one is. I mean, it got spoiled for me, but I'm interested to see if they'll go in that direction because the cartoon kind of play that way out.
The last cartoon I reckon is the last cartoon in that Diabolical series that I just watched is a bit like the Doctor Strange story in the What If. It's the one thing where I'm beginning to think, okay, that there could be canon, right? Because it does show the original relationship between Noir and Homelander. It doesn't. The question's still there about what Noir's role is, because he is very mysterious. He never talks. He never does anything. He seems ultra loyal to Ford. But yeah, I think. See, I don't even know if the comics are that well loved. I've never really heard anyone come out and say, "Oh my God, I'm glad they turned these comics into a TV show." People just love the show.
Yeah, but that's what I've learned from. It seems like from this, like in the early 2000s, it's super niche. It was super niche. And JP, to finish your other point of that question, was I think the other part is to also make some of the stuff that was comic book capable to be much more realistic capable, a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, like your point earlier that so it's not too predictable for fans.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but like whenever it comes to what they want to do with those relationships, like I'm sorry, when it comes to the comic, like again, it seemed to have been a super niche because I forgot the name of the author. The same guy who made Invincible, right? Like it never was a what's it?
M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalan?
No. The guy who made the Invincible,
the TV series you're talking about.
The TV series.
Okay.
Yeah, and which was based off of its comics, which you need to watch as well too, JP, in bootleg form or not. Like it's gonna come back. You got time. Got time. but the point is, like, I think they were just like popular enough to be Comic-Con worthy, but not popular enough to hit into the mainstream unless you ran into them. So with this, there's always going to be enough of a group, even if it's 100,000 people. That's more than enough to be able to be concerning. But I do wonder if they're going to play into that. But that relationship that's going to happen with Highlander, like especially now with his son, and then what happened with Billy's ex-wife. Like I saw the little bits, and then the lady who blows up people's heads. Like we still ain't talked about her and her.
No, she's not in the. She's not in the Victoria Newman. The who's she taking the piss out of? AOC.
Right.
I can't. That show just goes to the craziest. See that AOC character, where she comes into it. It's not in the trailer at all. So that kind of it's the absence of it that makes you go, where are you going to go with that? Because Huey's working for her. Like Huey is working for her. And what is her whole agenda? The government has an agenda. Everyone has an agenda.
Is she the most powerful super? Like, because she can take out anybody from a distance.
The idea is the underwriting idea of the show and the books and so far the show. Anyone who's committed to both will always keep arguing that Homelander is Superman. Right. He is the unbeatable one. But again, Noir is just so Noir's just such a and obviously Maeve is up there as well. But Superman and Homelander are one and the same in the undisputable.
Right.
The argument, people have wondered, when all those heads were this sounds crazy to JP, but when those heads were popping in that bloody courtroom, that was just massacre. His head didn't pop, and neither did Stormfront's. Now the question is, did she try to pop them and just could not do it, or did she just not bother with it? We don't know who she's working for, right? We don't know what her agenda is. Is she working for Vought? Does she have something else going for her? So she's not in the trailer. She's very, her absence is the other thing that's kind of absent, except for one shot, is the thing I heard most about this season, which is they're going to have a conference, a superhero conference.
Oh yeah, the sex conference.
The orgasmic, what's it called? The sex conference they have, which is gonna be.
What I think we see, but I think we see the.
We see a dildo. We see a dildo floating around. We see
the dildo, but we also see the deep having
sex and looking at getting into the Aquaman thing. But that orgasmic one, that's one of the first things that they announced about. Is they're going to do this? What's it? Orgasmic Con or something like Comic Con, but it's just going to be one big super. That's going to be off the charts. That's going to be. Oh my gosh.
Let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe!
Double die or die.